Good morning. We are at ZoomHaitiNews. Today, we have a very, very special guest at ZoomHaitiNews to talk to us today. Today, we're going to receive Congressman Andy Levin. Congressman Levin represents the 9th District of Michigan. He was first elected in November 2018 and re-elected in 2020. Congressman Levin is a very successful lawyer. He graduated from Harvard University, Michigan University, and Williams College. And he has a very long practice working with union. Since he was elected in Congress, Congressman Levin is stand for democracy around the world, especially in Venezuela, China, and obviously Haiti. And today we have a very great pleasure to talk to Congressman Levin about the situation in Haiti. He's very outspoken about Haiti, and we know if it was not for his tweet, for his stand for Haiti, maybe the situation would have been very worse now as we speak. Congressman Levin, good morning. That's a pleasure to have you at Zoom Haiti News.
Good morning, Emmanuel. Qui j'en
Moi, très bien. Moi, content ou parler créole ou qu'à font-il parler avec nous?
Oui, pas de problème. Moi, content de passer un petit heure avec vous.
Qui j'en y est, comment ça y est pour?
Dans les petits, jeudi, on a passé dans House of Representatives, the American Rescue Plan. Et ça, c'est un jour important pour le peuple américain.
Vous travaillez en Haïti ou qu'on Haïti très bien?
Oui, moi, je suis allé à Haïti quelquefois. Moi, je apprends à parler créole, je travaille ici, aux États-Unis, parce que moi, j'ai aidé à travailler dans l'asile pour vieux monde, former un syndicat. Et on connaît dans Boston, New York, Miami, qui ont pile travailleurs haïtiens américains, femmes haïtiennes qui travaillent dans nursing homes. Et moi, j'apprends à parler créole petit.
Vous parlez créole très bien.
Non. Et après ça, j'étais dans law school, moi, j'étais allé à Haïti pour Human Rights Watch. Et c'était juste après yote fait Aristide dehors.
Après Aristide t'es fin quitter le pays.
Oui. C'était à 92. L'été 92. Moi, j'étais allé dans toute provinciaux pour parler pour les qui non marrons.
Ok, donc vous gagnez un beau pratique travail pour les gens qui défavorisés.
Oui, c'est ça.
Donc, ça fait nous plaisir. Monsieur, peuple haïtien content et ouais, je dis, donc, les gens ont même intéressés. Mais c'est pas grand peu le monde qui est intéressé avec les questions créoles haïtiennes, c'est-à-dire dans le pays étranger. Pour qui ça t'intéresse et parler créole même?
Moi, j'ai eu l'opportunité d'aller à Haïti dans le collège. Et c'était 1980, quoi. Moi, j'étais arrivé à Haïti, c'était Baby Doc était là. Et pas vraiment dictatorship, ça. Et moi, oui, qui sont peuple haïtien, yo kembe ferme n'importe situation. Situation 2, yo continuer marcher devant. Et moi, avec peuple haïtien.
Donc, vous connaissez Haïti très bien, Congressman Levin. Ça fait nous un peu plaisir que vous vraiment connaissez Haïti et ça montre donc vous avez un peu l'intérêt dans le pays d'Haïti.
Moi, je voulais aller à Haïti encore. Nous parler après la pandémie finie.
Mm-hmm. Donc,
et nous voulons aider les peuples haïtiens pour rejoindre la démocratie.
Dans l'introduction, je t'ai dit, nous pas le vivre interview en anglais parce que je connais, nous
Oui,
pas
oui.
bien la
Vous
créole.
pouvez interviewer en anglais parce que moi,
Non,
pas
mais c'est très,
parler
je
créole
pense
net
que
déjà.
nous avons d'entendre vraiment un créole là, même si nous pas le virer en anglais. Moi, je t'ai dit, où tu représenté 9e district dans Michigan, et puis où c'était avocat, donc, vous gradué dans Harvard, dans Williams College, et puis Michigan University. Est-ce que tu bien fait présentation? Qui ça me manqué pour?
Non, c'est parfait. Pas de problème.
D'accord. Thank you so much, Congressman Levin, for answering the first couple question in Asian Creole. And I can
No
tell
problem.
you, I really appreciate, and the Asian people, they are going to appreciate it very much. But now we have to change it in English.
We'll change it into English. And then when I can go to Haiti to support all the wonderful Haitians who are fighting for democracy and human rights, I'll have to brush up on my Creole again and I'll get better. And then after that, we'll do an interview completely in Creole.
But
For now,
thank you in advance for that. So
okay.
we have a major crisis in Haiti now. We have a president in the country whose term is over since February 7th. And that's what the Haitian Constitution said. That's what he applied for Congress couple last year when there is about 20 senators. He says their term was over based on this, the very same Constitution. And then now he refused to leave. And there are almost like every sector in Haiti, including 2 major universities in the US, including Harvard, where you graduated, who analyzed the situation and said, indeed, his term is over. And he still don't want to go. And there is a letter that was sent by a group of congressmen to the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, to ask him to reject any attempt by President Jovenel Moise to retain power, end quote. Did Secretary Blinken send you an answer for that letter?
He did. And well, let me just first say that, proverbs are so important in Haitian culture. One of the things I love, we have a proverb, I don't know if you have the same one. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I think when Jovenel Moise says mayors, senators, they're all, they all have their term limits, but it's different for me, that's not acceptable. He needs to live by the same rules that everybody else, that he applied to other people.
What did Secretary Blinken tell you? If we can,
I got an answer to that. Which, hey, first of all, I just have to thank the State Department because during the Trump administration, we either got no answers to our letters or it took often months. So we got a fairly timely answer, but the answer was not. I would say it didn't break any news. It didn't budge so far from the position that the State Department has taken. The Biden administration hasn't yet formulated a policy towards Haiti that's really different than what the Trump administration was doing. And it needs to. We really need to change course. We need to say that Jovenel Moise was a president who had a term that ended on February 27th, 2021. He's been ruling by decree. Even before that, he's been doing very undemocratic things. This constitutional, referendum he wants to do is illegitimate. He's an illegitimate president who picks an electoral council illegitimately, cannot lead to a legitimate election. We just need to change course. And actually, it's interesting that we're speaking right now because in a few hours, I'm going to be able to ask Secretary of State Blinken questions because he is the first cabinet secretary, I believe, of all of them in the Biden administration to appear before Congress today before the House Foreign Affairs Committee. As you know, I'm a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and of its Latin America subcommittee. So I hope in my little few minutes I have to ask questions that I will be able to ask him a question about Haiti. And that's how important Haiti is.
What question would you have for him, Congressman Levin?
Well, I'll have to wait. I'm not going to pre-say my question. And it depends on whether others ask a question about Haiti too before me. Basically my point of view is that I want to be super supportive of the Biden administration. I don't want to attack them. I want to give them an opportunity. But I really want to say to them very plainly that America's history, like all the way back to 1804, our history with Haiti is not a super great one. We did not support the one successful slave revolution on a national level in the history of the world. We helped France demand, money from, outrageously saying that Haiti and the people of Haiti, the former slaves, were French property and France needed to be paid for them. We then obviously invaded Haiti, occupied it with our Marines for a long time. We supported the Duvalier dictatorship. And even more recently, Emmanuel, here's the thing that I think is so important. Haiti is not the teeny minority elite that tends to control the country. It's all the people of Haiti. And when we talk about Haitian civil society, it's not some teeny little group of people in Pétionville or whatever. It is all of the neighborhood protection committees, all of the unions, all of the business groups, all of the groups of regular Haitian folks. Just like when I go to my district, Emmanuel, I go to the PTA meeting of the parents. I go to the American Legion meeting of the veterans. I go to all the wonderful little groups in America. And until American foreign policy wants to deal with Haitian civil society really in a way that reflects the majority of the people, we're going to be on the wrong track. And that's what I think we're doing right now by saying we need to stick with this guy, Moise. Why? I mean, he's not legitimate.
So, but Congressman Levin, sorry to interrupt you. Why do you think almost every administration, they are not very supportive to Haiti, like some people in Congress are? They almost have the same policies. When Trump was here, everybody thought was when Trump is over, President Trump term is over, and then President Biden is going to have another policy toward Haiti, and then things are going to change. And so far, nothing has changed. What do you think is that?
To be honest, I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know yet. And I really want to emphasize that, at least for the moment, I want to take a hopeful view to this question. In other words, I am still hoping that the Biden administration, as it staffs up, let's remember that the previous president didn't even accept that he lost the election. There was no appropriate transition like we've had every previous time. After about within a week of the election, when the whole country, the press and everybody said, okay, it's obvious, it was the Saturday after the election that Joe Biden won the election. He will be the next president. Normally, in all of our history, then the current president starts helping the next president to have a transition. That was so delayed, and the State Department was so uncooperative that it's taking longer for the Biden administration to get in there. Now, somebody like me or somebody like you may wish Haiti was their very top priority. But, I think, to be honest, it's a small country that hasn't been their main focus. Mm-hmm. With China and with, crises, Brazil and crises around the world. So I just want to gently insist to them that they take an honest look at U.S. policy towards Haiti, and they will realize that we need to change course immediately.
Yeah, that's what in Haiti people say that, don't expect a lot of things from the Biden administration. If it was China and Hong Kong, if it was Venezuela, they would go ahead and do something. But for Haiti, they almost now have no interest. And we have seen there's almost no interest. I agree with you. There's a huge delays in the Biden administration in terms of the transition that was not done properly by the previous administration. But so far, the people in Haiti tend to have like to be right about their assessment that the U.S. doesn't really care about like the people in Haiti, doesn't really care about democracy in Haiti, and it seems to be true, unfortunately.
Well, my concern is this, that I am worried that the career staff who work on Haiti in the State Department may actually believe that it's sort of like we can't stop supporting Moise because then there wouldn't be anybody and it would be a vacuum. I think that's a lot of the view. And what I'm saying is that this man is an illegitimate president at this point. He has been a problematic president for a long time. It was inappropriate that the Trump administration supported him in a kind of throwback Cold War way, like if he'll vote with us on Venezuela and if he'll vote with us on this and that, then we'll support him. Emmanuel, when I went to Haiti in 1980 as a college student, and I went to evaluate the impact of USAID, of the aid that we gave the Haitian people, and I said, wait a minute, all the schooling is in French, even though 95% or plus of people really Creole is their main language. Wait a minute, we're trying to get them to focus on export crops and not feed their own people. Wait a minute, we're not saying anything about democracy and human rights. You know, wait a minute, we're not supporting all the best development projects unless they use U.S. materials. I actually wrote a paper that said that the main impact of USAID was propping up the Duvalier dictatorship. And the main thing we needed to do was to change course in that way. I really worry that what I want the US State Department to realize is that we need to have more faith in the Haitian people. I want the State Department to realize that there is precedent for creating a provisional administration in Haiti to have a transition back to democracy, and that backing an illegitimate president who didn't seem to ever have a democratic bone in his body and who seems to be involved with a tremendous amount of corruption isn't the way to nurture democracy in Haiti. And that seems self-evident to me.
What you said is very true, Congressman Levin. But the thing is, we know in Haiti for sure that the U.S. It never stand for democracy in Haiti. They never hope for the best in terms of, let's say, a couple of years ago, we have a president who, I'm sure you know, Michel Martelly, who
Yes.
did everything wrong. And then he was like in front of another candidate who has a PhD, who is a professor at university. And Hillary Clinton went to Haiti to go to support Michel Martelly. And basically, Michel Martelly was elected thanks to the U.S. And I'm not inviting you to come to comment on that if you're not comfortable talking about that. But it's just to say what the U.S., they don't really care about the way you are. You see, you know what, the tweet you put out there in support to the Asian people to say that's not right. If we had those things like from the State Department, everything will stop right away because people believe when the State Department is talking that everybody is listening. People who women power listen. And now at every single protest, like people are tear gassed, journalists are being brutalized.
Yes.
And the government, Jovenel Moise has done all of that just because he believes he has the support of the Biden administration. Is that the kind of legacy
yes.
the U.S. would like to have?
Well, all I can tell you is this. I got elected to Congress somehow. Here I am. You know, I'm somebody who traveled to Haiti repeatedly, learned to speak Haitian Creole, worked in Haiti for Human Rights Watch, wrote my sort of thesis at Harvard Law School on civil society and democratization of Haiti, and then published it in the Emory International Law Review, I should get you a copy. I want your evaluation of my work.
I would be glad to have it.
I think only 10 people ever read it. So, but anyway, the point is, I'm here, and once I got here, I learned that there are many advocates for real democracy in Haiti, especially in the Congressional Black Caucus, but also beyond. And so we are determined to build support for a true democracy in Haiti, where we really respect the Haitian people and the will of the people. And we know Haiti is capable of having a democracy. And we just have to really support the Haitian people. And as you say, the Bar Association, all the groups, the church, so many groups have come out and said, this is the situation. His term has ended. We need to come together. People are really working hard on what a different transitional, program could look like. We need to get in there and support those efforts of Haitians to determine their own future and not have a proto-dictator hanging on with support from the OAS and the United States and so forth, which I'm very troubled by that. And so all I can tell you is, I think Joe Biden is doing, in general, a great job so far as president of the United States. I'm a big supporter of his, and I hope that posture of being a true supporter of his will give me some leverage so people might listen to me, that we're on the wrong track here, and we need to go in a different direction on Haiti. And I'm going to keep fighting for that no matter what. So
that's true. That's true. And the President Biden need to know dictator is not good. If it's not good for Venezuela, it's not good for Hong Kong. It's not good for Haiti either, because the situation is. I'm sure you know about that because you tweeted it a couple days ago. There was a jailbreak.
Yeah, well, I think that right now, Haiti's in a situation of impunity, of really people being terrorized by kidnappings, of gangs, violent gangs out of control, seeming to be in collusion with authorities. And we really need to pay more attention to Haiti and be more supportive of the Haitian people. And with that, I think I really have to go, because we're holding up my next appointment. I apologize. I'm running late for each thing. So,
thank you so much.
It's great to see you.
Thank you so much, Congressman. I really appreciate your support. I hope we will have another chance to talk to you again. Thank you so much. I really, really, truly appreciate your help. Merci beaucoup.
De rien, n'a parlé encore. Qu'est-ce que
D'accord, merci.
Okay.